This is the download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news of the business of podcasting, brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Before we get started, back in July, Sounds Profitable posted the Podcast Industry Glossary, a collaborative effort between Sounds Profitable partner companies to build a comprehensive collection of key terms and terminology used in the podcast industry. We're thrilled to announce there's now a Spanish language version of that glossary provided by Genuine Media, available now. With that said, here's what you need to know for today, Thursday, October 31st. Happy Halloween! That's the extent of Halloween theming today. First up, better podcast marketing and the curiosity gap. Curiosity is a better driver of interest in media than a plain label. Tom Webster's example is how one might pitch the Scottish electronica duo Boards of Canada. One could simply say the music is simply lo-fi, chill electronica and be done with it, but even just explaining the band title, music inspired by the uniquely low-fidelity synth found in old-school PSA films produced and widely distributed by the Film Board of Canada, gives both context and breeds curiosity. People naturally want to fill in information gaps, which Webster proposes can further apply to feelings. Boards of Canada evoke a nostalgic feeling for a version of being a kid in the 1970s and 1980s not normally captured by pop culture. Selling podcasts to people based on the feeling and tone they evoke would land more audience members who would participate in podcasts if they had a good reason to try. Next up, getting audio and podcasting on the media plan, a guide for mutual success. The IAB has posted a free document built as a guide for pitching podcasting as a valuable part of media plans, starting off with an iHeart/WARC slide from The Investment Gap, showing audio makes up 31% of media activity consumption in the United States as of 2021, but only received 8.8% of the ad spend. The total document acts as an amalgamation of podcast industry data with 34 different reports cited. Next up, how emotion AI will transform podcast advertising. This new Industry Insights article on soundsprofitable.com gives a brief overview of the history of parasocial relationships, from the term's inception in the mid-1950s through modern podcasting's use of inherently one-sided relationships between hosts and audience members. Host-read ads are difficult to scale, as run-of-network ads can quickly become impersonal and stale. The concept currently exists for delivering personalized, context-aware ads. But if the concept of emotional AI, a voice clone that identifies the emotional tone of surrounding content and evokes appropriate speech inflections to match, were to be developed fully, voice clones could facilitate a version of host-read run-of-network ads that would naturally fit the tone of every episode they're slotted into. And finally, how CMOs are balancing brand building with performance marketing pressure. A hot topic at Advertising Week New York was the eternal balancing act between performance marketing and brand building. The conversation marches on with last week's Masters of Marketing conference hosted by the ANA. According to Ad Age, the majority of speakers who broach the subject agree with the Advertising Week New York sentiment: brand versus performance is a false dichotomy. Lower funnel performance is important, but brand building is also an important tool for company growth. As for the rest of the news, Pantheon Media has opened the first round of crowd equity funding on its Start engine. Tom Webster is a guest on Podcasting Made Simple with Podmatch to talk about finding new listeners. Asa Collective and Culture Media have partnered to launch the Culture Podcast Network. Acast has partnered with Barometer to use their AI-driven brand safety and suitability tools on Acast's content catalog. Amazon has launched a companion podcast to the upcoming Prime Video game show Buy It Now, with the podcast dubbed This Is Small Business Behind the Buy. And Nielsen has published a new report on Q3 audio listening trends, along with the Edison Research Share of Ear. Be sure to check out the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or at soundsprofitable.com, where you can also subscribe to the newsletter version. The download is written and produced by Newton Shuttlecotti, myself, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. This episode is hosted on Spreaker. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.